One Radio.
Tonight we have Jerry Douglas.
This is me.
Jerry, how are you? This is Rob and Danny.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi.
First of all, we want to say how sorry we are for your loss of Jean Cooper. We know how close you were with her, and we're very sorry about that.
Jeannie was a good girl, but, you know, she lived a long, long life. She did what made her happy, which was to continue to do the show a lot longer than I thought she should have done. You know, at her age, it's very hard. And God bless her. You know, she was a sweet girl, but she got to work more than most actors hope to work on something you love. So she had a very fulfilling life. And her 3 kids were all grown. You know, that's part of what you can look at life and say, God, how lucky you are. You know,
yes.
Yeah,
I look at it that way. No, I mean, I told her, I think I saw her last fall, and we talked about it, and I said, you know, why are you working yourself so much? Because she was very exhausted and tired.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically said, because I love it. And I said, then enjoy it. You know?
Yeah.
You know, I was lucky to marry someone a bit younger than me, quite a bit, have a child late in life, so you have a full life. You're lucky, and I'm still doing what I like to do at the show, as much as I want, you know. So it's funny how life is that way. You know,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Now I'm settled down. Talking about the door. I was trying to get back at 4 o'clock.
Speaking of your role in the show, I mean, it's nice to see that you're still on the show. You know, at least I would love it if John were alive, but just the fact that you're still there as a ghost.
They were given about, let me see, how long ago was it? I think somebody, a very good dear friend, who is a major writer on Soap Opera Digest, wrote a brilliant idea of how to bring the character back and make it believable, because they do a lot of it where not very believable on many shows.
Right.
And I think I gave it to Marie Bell at least 4 years ago, at least that long ago, and there was no response. So, you know, I think that Jill would have done it if it wasn't so long now. You know, it's got too many years to make it. Yeah. And it really wouldn't make a difference for Peter or, you know, the younger Abbotts that are there. Jill had a greater reverence for the past than the prior regime that wrote the show. And she called me last summer and asked me if I would do it, you know, like I'm doing it a few times a month. And I said, yes. Yep. I said, but I don't want to do more because I've been producing and trying to develop properties, and it takes a lot of time. One in particular for my wife, Kim, who you all know from her many appearances all over the place, but predominantly Ellen. And we do have we have a good concept for a show for her that we're meeting people with now. So it always worked out well.
Well, that's cool. Now, I remember when you were appearing as John's ghost for a while, was that under Lynn Marie Latham, or was that under Maria?
Well, they killed the character, and he asked me if I'd come back and play the ghost. So I said, well, why in the hell are you killing him? And
I was so upset. Oh, my God.
Well, it was the problem of the Bells allowing it to be done. They didn't put up much of a fight. And either they were too intimidated by the fact that ratings were getting slide a little bit. CBS was a very powerful institution. But I was disappointed in the boys that they didn't put up a bit of a fight. And I've told them, you know.
I don't understand how killing off one of the most popular characters would be good for ratings.
No, it did hit off the charts, his death. Yeah. And they thought that was going to be a big deal. I think what it was is Lynn Latham is a writer who came from nighttime. She did not Falcon's Crest, but another show like it in the 80s.
Okay.
And The strangest thing about her is she asked me to go to lunch with her in April. Had a long lunch dinner with her. Dinner wasn't lunch. We went to dinner alone, the two of us. Talked a lot about the show. And the next thing I know, I was told that they think you're killing the character. And I called the head of CBS and I said, why? What's the reason? She said, well, she couldn't answer me. Because they felt that the ratings were slipping and that if they did something dramatic, that would, but the drama hurt the show in the long run because the character could have been valuable in many, many storylines for years to come after that. So, that was what happened. And I said to her, she had told somebody she didn't think a man should run a cosmetics company. So when I went in to see her, you heard me, just that. That's the absurd thing people
You didn't stutter.
It didn't work for years before that.
No, it wasn't even that. So when I went in to see her, because they needed an approval from me to extend my contract. They didn't have enough time to shoot it. And I could have been an SOB and said, go to hell. I said, I'm not giving you anything. But because I love the people I work with, I said, if I do that, they're going to have to work till 2, 3 in the morning to make this work. They're going to have to work like rotten hour days because they didn't have enough time to shoot it. They just screwed up royally. So she begged me to do that. And I said, well, I understand you think that a man shouldn't run a cosmetics company. And she kind of mumbled and dumbled, well, it's not as, I said, have you heard of Ron Perlman running Revlon, the biggest company of all? So, you're dealing with a woman that was put in a medium that I don't think she knew what she was doing. And I think the show knew it. And the minute they had the strike, the following, not that year, but the following year, they dropped her like a hot cake because they could get out of the contract. They didn't have to pay it.
So the adjustment was over temporarily.
I am blessed that I worked a long time there. I still do. I do about 2, 3 a month now. And mostly with Peter, which is really enjoyable for the two of us. And they're good things. They're good writing. I think that Josh is really a very talented writer. Josh Griffin. He loved. They wanted to bring it back and bring it back more. And I said, sure, if you write them well. And they've done that. So, they're happy. I'm pleased. It's as good as it is, And the fans are happy. John's there a couple of times a month, 2, 3 times a month. That makes them feel there's a presence of them there, and that makes them happy. Especially with Gene gone. That doesn't leave any of us left,
No,
I mean, Eric Hayden is only 34, so he can't be considered an older guy.
No comment. Me too. Doug Davis has now been on the longest since 1978. I think he's the longest.
I think Melody and he are about. Melody and he. I think they both came in. When I came in, I think they were there about 4 years. And I came in early 82. Because they had somebody come in 1980, a year and a half before. A guy, I don't know who he was, but he played John Abbott for half an hour. And he made the gross mistake that many actors do. If you don't treat it like a play, that you just have to lock those lines in and get to work. Like I've got now. They couldn't get a script to me in time. I got to shoot tomorrow. And they're very emotional things with what's going on in Jack's life. Big one. So when you get that stuff, you really got to work hard to make sure you got it locked so that when you do an emotional scene, you don't screw up and mess it up for your fellow actor. It's much harder to do that way.
Yeah, I had no idea, actually, because there was another John Abbott until Beth Maitland told Danny and me when we interviewed her. That they
she wasn't even here, though. She didn't even I met her. We came on the set about a year and a half or 2 after I was there. And what he was is he was nothing like me. I was never a pretty guy. I was an ex-football player and athlete. And just, had a rugged puss and played a million heavies and cops. And I did 3 pilots in my life that could have made me a nighttime star before I got to him in Restless. But, I mean, he was a nice guy, but he was very typically what they put in under contract in the early days, just good-looking people. But once in a while, one of them turns out like a Grace Kelly, who's an actress too, but 99% they bomb. And the guy couldn't handle the stress of that. He told me, he said He was used to film. He was under contract to 20th for about 5 years and probably did, a bunch of work. But film is a much slower medium. I mean, you have to sit in your dressing room for 4 or 5 hours to learn one page. Come on, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Like what we do. So that was what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're pretty good looking.
Thank you, dear, but I'm not pretty. You know what I mean? They were
he means like a pretty boy.
We remember Robert Redford. When Robert Redford was a young actor, he was a pretty guy. Paul Newman was a rugged, handsome guy. Different look. Right. Rock Hudson was a pretty guy. And Jimmy Dean wasn't. Marlon Brando was more like me. He was a rugged guy. It's just that they didn't put people like us under contract in those days. Matter of fact, when I first got here, an agent sent me to Universal, and I met a woman who was head of their contract, and she looked at me and she said, "You're a very nice-looking man, but I think you're going to only work as a heavy." And that was her opinion, So that's what I signed. And those guys didn't always turn out to be the best thespians in the world either, Who knows why?
Right.
Well, I couldn't imagine any other John Abbott than you, obviously, because I grew up.
Well, that's very sweet. Well, the good thing is he didn't do it long enough to make it hard for me. He was only on, I think, about 2-3 months in the summer, because Terry Lester, who played the original Jack, told me that the guy was struggling. And there was an actor, I don't want to mention his name, he's passed away, but he happened to be a black man, a famous one who did a famous movie, who played a police chief my second year there. And he's a wonderful actor in movies, but he fell apart every day he did the show. I would run lines with him till I was sick of him. I knew him backwards, and he would still go up a lot. And he couldn't handle that. Some people just can't handle that kind of pressure,
Yeah, speaking of,
and now the kids have it worse. Huh?
Oh, that reminds me of when Joan Van Ark was playing Gloria, when she left the show, her official statement was that she just wasn't used to the rigorous schedule of daytime, and because she was used to doing prime time, what's interesting about her, she's done in the last 10 years, because she hasn't worked that much in prime time in a while, but she did work a lot. I did a television show with her in the 70s, where she played the lead lady and I played the lead heavy for a change. And she was really good in it. She's always a good actor. But not landing,
pressure. Couldn't handle the pressure. Not landing, you're talking about doing 6-7 pages a day, whereas a show like ours does 70-75 pages a day. And it's very emotional stuff. She's just a sweet girl. It was too much pressure for her. And
Judith Chapman is an
war, which makes it even harder. You know what I mean?
Judith Chapman's amazing as Gloria. We'd like to see more of her. It'd be cool if John would appear to Gloria. Judith Chapman?
Well, they want that. They stuck her with that guy. What's his name? That was on Not Landing 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know that Chapman. Which is funny when Joan and he were on at the same time briefly. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't use them much anymore because the boys get too old. Her boys that are played by, the two guys that play her son.
Christian LeBlanc, and Gregory.
Yeah, Christian LeBlanc. They're getting too old to have too much maternal. You can't keep doing that. Like in John Abbott's case, John Abbott ran the company that his kids worked for. And he was the single parent that raised them. That was a connection that kept them involved the whole way. And Bill Bell created that originally. When I came on, the mother was gone. There was no Rena. She didn't come until a year or two later. But in Gloria's case, she's the mother of two guys. One's got to be well in his 50s, and the other one well in his 40s. So they don't have as much opportunity to use her as they did in the past. So she's a good actor too. She's her grandson. Her grandson,
her grandson's 10 now. They've aged him. He's about 18. I think there'd be some good opportunities there for him to have
Yeah,
some
maybe,
pride.
you know. I imagine they will. She had a good run, though. You know, not everybody works for 300 years like me and Eric and Jeannie did, you know. Or even Melody. And Melody was a young baby when she came. But Melody worked as a child actor for years.
That's right.
Doug was like 22 when he came on the show, but now he's a father and probably getting close to being a grandfather one of these days. You know? But you know, Gloria's character doesn't have the history that those people do. You know what I mean?
That's true.
The length of history, so it gets a little more difficult. You know, and Chris is a very important character on the show. But you know, the show is always built on families, and it's still the Abbotts and the Newmans. And now they don't have any. Now Jeannie's family is gone. I mean, who are they? Jess is gone on the show. She lives up north and does like maybe 30 shows a year, and that's it, if that.
Yeah.
You know. It gets hard for them to do. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad they brought Beth back, and I'm hoping that. She's amazing. I love her. We interviewed her. She is so sweet. We keep in touch now. And
dear girl, you know, she's so funny on the show. I love her.
She is really funny. Yeah.
She is so funny. She had us cracking up. I mean, she had us cracking up on the show. She was so funny. And and you know, and I like Tracy's coming back, and she's in the story. I know you can't tell us this, but I'm just putting it out there that I would like to see John visit Tracy, hopefully.
Well, you know who set this, the lovely lady who set this up for us, we all know, right? Mm-hmm. You know, my girl that takes care of a lot of stuff for me.
Right.
She's adorable. She's got people writing Josh about it because Marie Bell had me working with Billy. I had one of the best storylines with Billy about 4 years ago, I think it was, at least 4 or 5, where he gets so drunk that John appears and takes him into his future and shows that he continues, but he says he's going to die of a car crash. Yep. And it was brilliant stuff. And Maria was very capable of writing that stuff. And that particular situation, he's talked to, he had him talk to Eileen, who played Ashley. But, you know, there are a lot of fans writing Josh, screaming that he should be having John talk to Tracy. And whenever Tracy works, she always says things like, I really feel Dad's presence because she's
out of anybody. Out of anybody.
It might, maybe Josh will weaken. Right now, he thinks John works better as the conscience of Jack. But, you know, it's the conscience of anybody he's working with. It's memory, you know, it's all it is. So we'll see.
Well, I did have an interview with Josh. And he did say that he does think that they need more Abbotts back on the show. So, and you know how I feel. I mean, Eileen is on Days of Our Lives now. I'm not sure if that's
that one I can't figure out.
Right, and why they don't bring Brenda is available and she wants to come back, so I don't know why they haven't brought her back yet. Epperson.
Well, Brenda Epperson would be great, you know, if they brought. I don't know why they don't think about it, but
I know.
I guess
it's like
powers that be. You know, she was good too. She's a good actor.
She was amazing. I think as far as recaps go, I mean, she was probably one of the best recaps in daytime history, well, aside from you.
Well, they looked a lot alike. They did.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I've watched the world. She and I have become quite good friends, and you know, I would love to see her come back, and so would most of the fans because they miss Ashley. Unless,
well, you know what they got to do? You got to tell your people just right. You know, like
we have
me talking to more people now, and it gets to Josh, and he makes him think about it. You know.
Mm-hmm. So
what did he say? When he said he wanted more Abbotts, did you mention Brenda Epperson?
We did.
Air, but no, not to Josh Griffith on the air. I just said I really miss Ashley, and he said, well,
mention it to him off the air.
Yes. Oh, yes. You can't.
Well, what did he say?
We didn't get a definite answer. We sort of got, I don't know. I think
you know, Jerry, when you get a little blow off.
Well, what I would do, truthfully, is I would talk to Jill Phelps because she's the exec producer and she has final say on everything.
Right.
I mean,
Well, she doesn't have.
She would defer to Josh if he wanted to bring her in, but I think it would be a great idea because, I mean, Eileen is a very talented girl. I don't know why the hell they moved her over there because I know that she's going to make it. Because their ratings
I think so need it for ratings.
You know. And they're doing 8 shows in a week. For Christ's sake, you can't do that many. And we're having trouble doing 6 in 4 days. They're doing 8 in 4 days. I mean, you can't fly through every scene. You've got to sometimes do pickups. You've got to do a retake. Not every actor can hit every moment right away, every time, and do it in one take. I would say 90% of the takes Peter and I have done in one take. One take, but we rehearse very heavily, as much as we can before, so we have it down. But we're also a lot more experienced, a lot older, and the young kids are in trouble. You know, they always ask me for advice, and I give them the same advice. I said, treat it like a play every day. Every day is open.
Jerry, I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I want to ask you about your music. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I love singing. The problem came, I started to do a lot of it way back in '06. I did the CD, which you've probably heard of, and it really was very successful. Then we made a deal in Canada, which is a very popular place for the show, and they released it, and it sold well, and I did a bunch of dates in Canada over 07, 08, 09, and then what happened is the market got tough with the Depression, and these venues that they call, you know, these various casinos, just couldn't come up with the kind of dough to fly me there, you know, and make it worthwhile doing it. But if I could find a great variety agent, I'd love to have him handle me, because I still sing and I still love going out and doing it. But you have to have a good guy to work for you, a good gal. So if you guys know a good variety agent out there on the internet, tell them to call Pam and she'll get it to me. Pam Rogers.
I know a PR guy that might be able to hook you up.
Well, you call him and tell him to call me, and Pam will give him the number. She's listening to this show, and she knows that I would talk to him about. Okay?
All right, I'll see what I can do for you.
Where's the PR guy from?
He's in LA.
Oh, he is in LA. Well, that would be helpful if he's here.
Yeah,
but
he's
if he's
there.
good, I might have him handle my wife too. I'm looking for somebody to handle Kim.
Okay, cool. I will definitely. I will
email. Have you seen
him.
Kimberly on Ellen? Both of you when she's worked.
I know who she is. Yes, I have seen her. I do believe I saw her, but it wasn't on Ellen. It seems like I saw her on something else.
Marie Osmond or something?
Well, she's done Marie Osmond's show. She's done. She used to do a show that was the #1 morning show, but it's fallen considerably. Called Good Day LA here in LA. It's a local morning show, but it used to outdo the networks all the time. But she's done Marie Osmond. She's done that. She does the doctors on network stuff. She's busy. But we're Josh O'Connor, who was I call him the business affairs producer because he basically runs that show and makes it work that way. Not creatively, but he makes the creative work by planning all the shoots and getting them all done. You know, as my partner, and we've written a new talk show. We have a meeting next Thursday, with some people at E, and we're trying to get it on the air. She would be great. You've seen Kimberly. She's very talented, you know.
Yes.
As a performer, she's funny and she's a journalist. She has all the good ingredients to do a talk show. And didn't Lee Phillip work me in the style I'm used to?
Lee Phillip Bell was the talk show host.
What's that?
Lee Phillip Bell. Lee Phillip Bell was the talk show host originally, right?
Who is this?
Lee Phillip Bell?
Lisa.
Bill Bell's
wife.
Lee Bell.
You have a Lee Bell. Oh,
yeah, Lee Bell.
Lee Bell was one of the greats in television because she was the first woman before Barbara Walters to ever have a talk show. And in the days she was on, Chicago was as big a television market as New York in the early days of television when she did start. Yeah. She's a great woman. I love her. She's a dear friend of ours. And we were with her last Christmas for a dinner party. She's just the sweetest woman. And I love Bill, her husband. He was a genius. He's brilliant, brilliant man.
Everybody says I love him. I have one little thing I'm supposed to tell you before we have a call for you. Sherry Shattuck said to say hello to her dear old dad.
Oh my God, that's 100 years ago.
Don't tell Sherry that. She's only 25.
She's 25. Her right arm is 25.
Sherry probably.
How is she doing, Sherry? I hope well.
She's doing awesome.
She's married to Ronnie.
No, they're not married. She has another newer husband and very happily married. And he actually wrote a screenplay. She's starring in the movie. They're in production right now. And she's also a best-selling author, so she's doing really well. She's a sweetheart. I love her.
And she's a lovely girl, and she was a lovely person to work with. When you speak to her, tell her that I send my love and I wish her the best.
I certainly will. And Brenda sends her love too. And we have Chris.
Brenda Epperson?
Yes, Brenda Epperson.
Yeah.
Not Brenda Dixon. I don't know Brenda Dixon.
No, you don't want Brenda. Brenda Dixon is from a planet they haven't discovered. However,
exactly.
Moving on, kids. Brenda Epperson is a gem girl.
Oh, she is. Yes. Two of your former actors did say hello.
Well, listen, I love you. I'll talk to you again down the line. And Tammy, I'll talk to you very soon.
Bye, Jerry. Thanks for calling.
Oh, what a nice guy.
This is Round One Radio.